Well, hello again and welcome back to my channel. I always forget to say this, so if you'd hit the like button and the subscribe button right now, I would really appreciate it, as I am trying to get monetized, and that will help with the YouTube algorithms. And I have titled this video Welcome to the Philippines. Ugh. You must have lots and lots of patience to live in the Philippines. I have a lot of respect for all the expats that can handle it. Not to knock the Philippines, there is a lot of beautiful places there. The water is gorgeous. I'm in Thailand right now, and you can't hold a candle to the Philippines for the water. It's just absolutely gorgeous throughout all the islands. It's got great diving. I'm pretty sure there is some great offshore fishing there. That I'm really into, so you know, I've seen some stuff over there that looked really, really promising. But it was some of the no service and infrastructure issues, and you know, I've heard guys say, oh, you got to have patience or just look the other way. Reminded me very much of Central America or South America. And even in Central America and South America, I think everything works more smoothly than over there. I found that service was pretty much non-existent. I mean, if you like service in a restaurant or service in a hotel or service in a store or basically service in anything, Philippines are not for you. The people themselves in the Philippines are really great. I thought the people were really good there, but when it came to services and stuff, they're just, I can literally count 3 occasions where I thought service was really good. And one of those was on Camaquin Island at a place called Mountain View Cottages. It's a Canadian gentleman that has that place and runs it. And if you're ever on Camaquin, I would highly recommend Hank's place. It is absolutely stunning. Each unit is a separate cottage with full facilities inside, and Hank is into fish and birds, and I mean, the place is just absolutely gorgeous. Manila Hearing Aids, big thumbs up to you guys in Cebu. I spent 2 hours with them last week, and very professional people. Had 2 girls work with me on different stuff. I have hard of hearing and all that kind of good stuff. So I took my hearing aids over there to have some adjustments on them. I carry a couple pair because I'm dependent on them. I have to have them. And where was the other place? Oh, 71% Dive Resort, just south of Dumaguete. Another big thumbs up to that place. Really enjoyed my time when I spent there. This is the second time I've been in the Philippines. I spent 2 months there right before the scamdemic started, and then I've just finished up 2 months there the other day. And both times I've had sort of the same feeling for the place. You know, people in that are nice, but like, to me, hotels and stuff are way overvalued compared to the rest of Southeast Asia. If we're gonna compare them to, you know, the West, no. But compared to what I can get in Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Indonesia, some of the other places I travel. So I was getting tired of like walking into a place. It's like, nah, we don't have that. Or I'd walk into a place and they just like, they couldn't be bothered with you, especially in restaurants and stuff like that. It became a running joke that's like when somebody would say something disappointed, I just say, oh, okay, welcome to the Philippines, and smile and walk away. I never get upset with anybody. But it just became like a running joke. How many times a day am I going to say welcome to the Philippines? And I have a friend over there, and I'd be texting back and forth with her going, welcome to the Philippines, my latest experience. And it's silly things. It's like walking into the mall at 11:30 at morning and going to get a buko shake. And the mall's been open for like 2.5 hours, and the girl's sitting there and she's like, oh, I'm on lunch break. I can't help you now. And she's got a blender already full of this stuff. All she had to do is pour it in a glass and take some money. Going into restaurants and the same thing. So yeah, I just sort of got tired of that. I guess I'm spoiled with Thailand and Indonesia and Vietnam, and so yeah, I've kicked out of there for a while. Maybe one day I'll go there and live as I slow down and want to actually stay in one spot for a while. There's some beautiful waterfront properties there. I mean, you can get a beautiful place on the water. I seen throughout the islands as I was sort of investigating stuff like that, where you can find, you know, it depends on how fancy you want, but if you're just looking for, you know, a simple accommodations and beautiful spots, there were definitely waterfront properties to be had for like $500 a month. And anybody that knows anything about living on the waterfront, that's very, very inexpensive. When I talked with Mark from Every Man Has a Story in the Philippines, he was explaining to me that you could actually find really nice places for around $1,000 a month that were like U.S. standard homes with granite countertops and all that kind of stuff. I myself, I don't really want anything big, and I'd rather actually have something small because it's a lot cheaper to air condition. But the other thing was medical. I have a lot of skin cancer. I've been dealing with it for a long time, and that was one of the things I had trouble even finding a dermatologist to get in to see. I finally did get into Dumaguete, into a young lady there, and I think she must deal with mostly aesthetics because she didn't even know where to start with me. And most doctors that are familiar with skin cancer and that, they take one look at me with my shirt off and they just start saying, "What have you done?" or "Where have you been?" So I've been cut on that many times in the last 30 years and treated for stuff. So I knew I had some medical issues. That was another reason I shot back over here to Thailand. They have some of the best hospitals in the world, and I had one spot on my back. I was a little bit worried it might be a melanoma. Wanted to get it taken care of properly. So I've heard other people speak about that. A friend of mine had talked about a place up in Makati, but then I was looking online and she also told me it was very difficult to get into that place. So I just thought it was in my best interest. The other thing is, well, there's the bureaucracy that goes on there, and like there's security guards everywhere walking in everything, and they're really a bit of a joke. But you know, you give a guy a badge and a gun and all of a sudden they're on a bit of a power trip sometimes, and I didn't get along with that real well sometimes. I'm used to here in Thailand where everything's pretty much open, even Vietnam and that. Philippines reminds me a whole lot of Central America and South America, except I think things work more smoothly in Central America and South America. The food in the Philippines, I've heard people complain about the food, and I have no problem with the food in the Philippines. I love fresh seafood. A lot of times I went to the market when I had an apartment. I could go get stuff for myself, and I like to prep my own food. I do like eating street food. The eateries were fine for me. I'm going to say 70% of my meals I probably ate at eateries. And that's because I enjoy the food, and if they have a lot of stuff sitting there, I normally order a bunch of different small dishes and try and taste everything. So I did like the food there. The country itself, absolutely gorgeous. I mean, there's beautiful mountains, there's lakes, there's ocean, the water's so clear in so many spots. The area around Dumaguete I really liked. You could be up in the mountains around Valencia and 30 minutes later be back down on the beach. And so it's all very accessible. I did a bit of riding up and down the coast. I was in Dumaguete for about, I think, 2.5 weeks, give or take, something like that, before I went up to Cebu. And yeah, so that I really like about the Philippines, and maybe one day I'll actually live over there, but right now I've got wandering feet. And so that means, you know, getting in and out of the Philippines is more expensive. I've decided I'm going to make Thailand, I think, my base. And either Thailand or Vietnam, but I think it's going to be Thailand. I can get a 15-month visa set up here as a retirement visa pretty easy, with multiple entries, and apartments here are very reasonable, and I just need a small flat. And I'm seeing condos with swimming pools and gyms and everything for, you know, $200 to $300 a month already furnished. And I travel light. I only have 2 40-liter bags and a day pack, but it's still more stuff than I like to carry. I like to carry one small pack on my back when I travel. Headed over to the Maldives here in about a little over 3 weeks, do some diving over there. One of the best spots I've ever dove. It's just a lot of big critters in the water over there to swim with, especially if you like sharks and mantas and stuff like that. So internet was another problem over in the Philippines for me. The internet is very dicey outside of the big cities. I just found it to be, in Dumaguete I did not have very much success. Only at one hotel, the 71% dive resort, did have a good line. But otherwise I was having trouble with internet, and my phone wasn't much better. And I still do stock trading, quite a bit of it, and I have to have internet at night, and I have to have something reliable if I'm day trading. And I didn't really day trade over there because I was afraid I'd get stuck with a big position and I couldn't close it out without getting on the phone to the United States, and even then my phone signal would work sometimes and it wouldn't. So that was another issue for me. Renting versus building. I've got a good friend over there, and she's just gotten married to a Englishman, and he's all set to build something. And she's not from the province. She's actually came from a family with money. And I was talking to her about building there, and I'm like, do you really want to go through that hassle of building something? And then the Philippines is one of the most natural disaster prone areas in the world, from what I've read. So I came from a hurricane zone. I lived in South Florida, and I was a landlord. I had a bunch of real estate there, and I know the hassles of when the storm's coming, to prep for everything. And then, God, if you lose a roof or anything like that after the fact. And everybody thinks the scary part is when the storm's coming, and it's really not. The bad part of a hurricane is after it passes. There's no power, there's no food, no fuel. I mean, you've got to be prepped for all that stuff. I always prepped that I could sit for at least 3 weeks by myself on my property without anybody coming around. And so I'm talking to her about that, and I'm like, if you guys really want to live waterfront, why not rent? And if you have a problem, if the house gets damaged or anything like that, you can just leave. You don't have to worry about it. Also, if you don't want to sit there through the storm, she sat through Odette a couple years ago, and the eye passed right over her head. So she got the full-blown experience of what it's like to be in a big hurricane, and it's the first one she had sat through like that. Then she was miserable for weeks afterwards because of all the brownouts and just total lack of electricity for the longest time. And they finally got electricity back to her, but then there were still constant brownouts. And she says there's brownouts, and she's in Mobile, and she says they get brownouts there all the time anyway. So, yeah, my whole idea is renting. I'm not a big fan of owning property outside of my own country, or I think most people should stay away from that. If you're going to own investment property, keep it where you live. That way you know how to deal with the politics and everything that goes on. Rent is so cheap in the Philippines, and people are like, yeah, but if you're paying $500 a month, you're just throwing $6,000 a year out the window. And I'm like, no, not really, because if you own that property, you've got to pay taxes on it, you've got to pay maintenance on it, you've got to have insurance on that. So, so realistically, what are you paying? $300 a month instead of $500? Or if you're in a house, okay, you're paying $1,000 a month for a real nice place, you're really probably paying what, $850? So, and then you have the issues if the storm hits, and if you have waterfront property, you're most prone to damage. And you don't have those headaches, okay? You lose a roof and all that, boom, there goes that, what you thought you were saving to repair the house and all that kind of stuff. Even if you have insurance, it's still such a hassle. So I was talking to her about that, and just, yeah, I'd much rather rent. Over here in Thailand, not that I was interested in buying, but I look into the real estate now. Since I was a landlord at one time, I had rental properties, and I used to buy and flip houses and all that kind of good stuff. So there's no investment value in buying a condo here. If you buy a condo here, it's not going to really go up in value. If you're going to invest money, invest it in Australia or over in Europe or in the States or wherever you come from, and where we've seen real changes in value if you've owned something for 15 or 20 years. Over here, you just don't see that. So I think most of the people have a condo over here. It's for their own enjoyment, having their own place. But if you really like a condo, you can probably get somebody to extend your lease to a 2-year lease if you want something like that. Myself, I'm looking for 6 months to a year so I can come and go. I think I mentioned it, maybe I didn't, but flying in and out of the Philippines is rather expensive if you're really island or country hopping around, versus being here in Bangkok, where flights are very reasonable to a lot of spots around the world. And you don't have to live in Bangkok. You can live in Chiang Mai, you can live in Koh Samui, Hue Hin, Pattaya, and it's all, well, from Chiang Mai you need a flight to get up to Bangkok, and I guess from Phuket. Koh Samui, if you want, you can take the train. I prefer to fly. And if you fly out of Siratani, which is right there where you catch the ferries out, it's very reasonable to get up to Bangkok. Hue Hin and Pattaya, I think Pattaya is an hour and a half to the airport. Hue Hin's about 2.5 hours. And both of those places have beachfront condos, which is what I'm looking for. And but I'm also trying to figure out this visa stuff over here in Thailand. And there's an educational visa and a retirement visa. I can get into either one. I want to learn Thai. If I'm going to make Thai as my base, I've got to get a basic understanding of the Thai language. I feel anywhere I'm going to live, if they've got a foreign tongue, I got to learn to speak some of it anyway. So anyway, those are my plans right now. Yeah, I'll be back to the Philippines, but it might be a while. It took me 2 years to make my return trip this time. And again, maybe in the future, I want to settle down in a house and not really want to move around, and I want waterfront property. Yeah, that's a good possibility. And I think there's some great fishing opportunities there. So you don't hear guys talk about the fishing too much. I think a lot of the expats down there aren't really into it, but some of the offshore areas look really, really good. I was looking at the north side of Dumaguete City there, looking up towards Cebu, and the water looked phenomenal. A couple times I've seen it. It's nice blue water, lots of current, walls, that kind of stuff attracts things. And the last weekend I was there, I was up there having lunch, and the water was just loaded with skipjack tuna busting the surface. And those are fun to catch on light tackle, but I'm more interested in what's underneath the skipjack eating the skipjack. I like to catch a skipjack and put them down for bait. Big bait, really big fish. So anyway, I hope everybody's having a good time wherever you might be. I've decided to change my channel up a little bit. I figure I'm going to continue to add stories of what I've done over the last 40 years, but since I'm making new stories all the time, well, let's go ahead and add to those. I'm here in Thailand to relax for the next few weeks, get my skin taken care of, and while I'm here I plan to learn how to do a little editing and that, so I'll have to drag you guys onto some of the places I go and some of the stuff that's going on. Anyway, I hope everybody's having a good day. Good luck to everybody, and cheers. Bye-bye.